The Lincoln Heights residents continue armed patrols after neo-Nazi invasion and police misconduct. This place has been plagued with neo-Nazis coming in to protest. I don't know if they were violently protesting, but that's got to be scary in your own community, right? Like, who would want that in your community?
After an
That's
apparent
pretty
neo-Nazi
scary.
demonstration near
It's
the
definitely
historically
escalating for sure.
black community.
WCPO 9 News reporter Jay Shakur is
I
live
guess
right
this
now
is the
in Lincoln Heights.
neo-Nazis
And
right
Jay,
here.
what's the mood there tonight?
Probably not great.
Tanya, tensions are high here in Lincoln Heights right now. In fact, as we were coming into Lincoln Heights earlier today,
I think
right at that I-75
are y'all
exit,
seeing some
we
delay
saw
on this?
men
This
with
is not
those
on my
long
end,
guns
right?
guarding the area
I don't
near
think
what
so.
looks like a pop-up tent of some kind. And while some are saying
After
this is
neo-Nazi
disruptive
demonstration,
and
tensions remain
dangerous,
high.
they say they're doing what they
Apparently
can to protect themselves.
Apparently they're going out there with like body armor and assault rifles to escort children around of different races and colors and stuff, or just children in general because of the neo-Nazis being there. Like,
new body camera video shows the moment police
that's the
responded
cops
to a
pulling up,
neo-Nazi demonstration in Lincoln Heights.
and they said
It's part of the reason a
we're
group
trying to
of
break it up.
residents in Lincoln Heights are now arming themselves to patrol their village.
Damn.
Putting a lot of people in danger by doing this stuff.
But some, like David Piscopo, say the display, while understandable, is becoming disruptive.
Why is it understandable?
Neighborhood watch, but to another level.
He claims he was approached while heading to a work site in the area.
As soon as we got off the exit at the first stop sign, we were met with, groups and groups of people putting on bulletproof vests, holding guns.
Okay.
And just
nothing illegal yet,
up.
I guess.
And they had walkie-talkies and stuff, but nobody in a uniform.
He says because of this
So they're
misunderstanding,
paramilitary.
he had to abandon the job and he potentially lost a client. But
Why?
those armed residents tell me these patrols are about ensuring their safety because they're concerned about police conduct.
Story is being told. We
Seems
have
like
to
the
remember
police are there
that
at
this
the
occurred.
protests.
This atrocity is what I refer to it as, occurred at 2:30 in the afternoon when babies were being dismissed from school.
I'm not
that
sure
is
what the
something
circumstances
that is
around
unacceptable in the community.
the protests
Obviously,
were.
that creates
Being a
panic.
neo-Nazi
After
means you're a
flyers with the
dickhead,
N-word
in my
declared or
opinion.
began
But
circulating on Tuesday, the
these
residents declined
neo-Nazis, yeah.
our request to be interviewed. But they did allow a local pastor in their
Honestly,
community
they
to
look the
speak
same
to
to me.
WCPO on their behalf.
What became clear yesterday was that there has been a pretty significant deterioration in the relationship of the sheriff to the community. That's why people feel they don't trust the policing, the law enforcement that exists in the community.
Democrat State Representative Cecil Thomas.
See, I don't understand. They're not really explaining why they have lost trust in the police department of their community and why they're taking up arms. Is it because that they didn't shut down the neo-Nazi whatever demonstration that they had? Is that why they don't have trust in them anymore, or is it like a precursor to this?
Met with state's public safety
I'm
director
missing
and
something.
says clearer guidance is on the way.
We don't have to create a new law, but we want you to be very clear as to what the law says. And if
What happened?
Now, we're told by Representative Thomas that they're coming up with a training memo they'll disperse to all.
That wasn't me, guys. That was the literal news
What they
story.
can do as it concerns their disorderly conduct and that inciting violence statute and how they can enforce that. In Lincoln Heights, Jay Shakur, WCPO 9 News.
Thank you, Jay. Even
Were
though
they
police
doing
say
that?
investigators
Maybe.
are continuing to
Neo-Nazis
review that
tend to do
incident,
that, I
and
guess?
if they find criminal or traffic-related charges are appropriate, they'll consult with the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office.
All right, peace and blessings, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. All praises to the Most High. Shout out to the people once again of Lincoln Heights and my brother Jay Shakur out there standing out there in the snow, bringing us more coverage. Now,
Go
if you
ahead.
haven't heard of that situation, last Friday, about a week ago, some cowardly neo-Nazis hopped out of a U-Haul, started displaying their, rhetoric, their insensitive rhetoric in a all historically black community that has been incorporated for about 100 years. The village of Lincoln Heights in Ohio, near
behavior.
Evandale. I think it's in
Not
the
illegal.
County of
That's
Evandale,
disgusting.
or whatever the case may be. But and then the people noticed that residents of the community came out. They came out to meet and greet these cowards who a lot of people feel like they were
I think
literally protected by the police.
Well, they are being protected by the police, and the reason why is because it's not illegal to have a shitty point of view and opinion. It's not illegal to be a racist. It's not illegal to do all of this stuff. It's illegal to act on those things and to do things. Again, one person's rights end where the other person's begins. It's okay to have really terrible points of view. It's okay to be an idiot, and it's okay to be a bigot. It's okay to do all of that within the confines of the law, as long as you're not doing any illegal activities when you're doing it. So yes, United States citizens, some of them are POSs, and some of them have terrible views, but they still pay their taxes. And if they're not committing any crimes, they still are afforded the same opportunities and protections under the law as everyone else is. You can disagree with them, but if they're not doing anything illegal, then that's why. So why are you mad at the police for that? They're literally just doing their jobs within the confines of the law. I know it's stupid, but it's just the way they have to do things. They don't get to choose.
You know, you will see the video. You can go back and watch past videos where the residents are literally trying to approach them, and you know, let's see what y'all talking about. But the police literally shielded the public, the community, the people of Village Heights who live there from crossing that bridge and engaging those individuals. And certain videos have surfaced where the police have actually agreed to escort the men away from the crowd to get back to their cars. And also, it looks like a video surface where police are actually helping the individuals load up into the U-Haul. So
they can leave your community like you wanted them to.
You just saw that the people are continuing their armed patrol, their armed guard over their village. Like I said, this village has
that's what makes them feel safe. Go for it, dog. Like for real, seriously, do that.
By black
for sure.
people, has a proud, long history of ownership and community, as you see.
Good.
And so the people are actually, as you heard, they have a tent out there, and they have, you know, people who are licensed to carry and willing to carry
them out there
to prevent something like that from happening in their neighborhood again. And then you have old Joe Piscopo. I think that's his name. It's not, I know it's Piscopo, that's Italian. I find it funny that he says that, you know, this is putting people in danger. You know,
what is?
He says that, you know, you have a bunch of armed people with guns and walkie-talkies, and nobody has on a uniform.
I think it is very, very unadvisable for you to be carrying weapons and vests and walkie-talkies like you're a paramilitary if you don't have the official training for it and that the local law enforcement is unaware that you are doing that. I think that is unadvisable. Illegal, legal, whatever. I mean, it's probably illegal, but so was the protesting, despite the fact that it was very ill-advised of them to do that in a community. It was still legal, and that's why the police were doing that. So they're both inadvisable. They're both bad ideas. Fight a bad idea with a bad idea. I don't know.
Right. Is not that what those other people did? You know, the neo-Nazi group, they were a group of armed people with walkie-talkies and nobody had on a uniform. And so I find it once again oxymoronic.
We shouldn't do that.
That
not illegal though.
And you know, you can call him Italian, but you know, he probably identifies white on his applications.
Well, there's no Italian checkbox.
Something is wrong with the black people demonstrating their ability or their desire to protect themselves.
I don't see what's wrong with that.
You know, those guys came out and inciting and agitating people. I find it funny that he finds that unproductive, possibly dangerous, and disruptive.
Both things were.
Nowhere in the article that he mentioned that, you know, that other issue of, you know, those guys coming to the all-black historically neighborhood. I find it funny that he doesn't find that divisive, disruptive.
They both were, in my opinion.
And so,
absolutely,
the fact that, you know, he lost a job or a client, you know, I don't think that is in any part the fault of the men and women of Lincoln Heights. He could
I
have
agree
went
with that
on,
too.
you know,
I was
like
like,
just
why do you lose a
because you were
client?
stopped, that doesn't mean.
Wait, who stopped you though? Because if some random people are armed and they're stopping my car without any legal authority to do so, then yeah, that's a problem, and they should probably go to jail for that. If anything, for impeding traffic. Now, if it's in your state not illegal to carry around a firearm openly and having walkie-talkies on, then like go for it. It's not advisable, probably dangerous. And honestly, if you have a terrible opinion and you feel like you want to share it anywhere you want, if it's legal, then you should be escorted by the police, and it should be a safe protest. The fact that the police were there to make sure that nothing crazy popped off during the whole thing is a great thing that happened. But the fact of the matter is that if you have a shitty view and opinion and you want to protest it, or you want to say some things that people aren't going to like, that's within your right. That's within your right as a United States citizen. If you pay taxes, the government will protect you, as long as you're not doing anything illegal, which obviously they weren't, or else they would have been arrested.
That you had to abandon,
and they
your
should
job.
be arrested if they are doing something illegal.
Excuse. But nevertheless, the people, it seems, as you heard from the pastor speaking, that they don't really trust law enforcement because, many people, if you saw that other press conference, they were questioning the fact that law enforcement, kind of allowed that. And like the preacher said, it was 2:30 in the middle of the day while children are being released from school. And so
maybe because they're not doing anything illegal
to feel a certain type of way.
They don't really have a choice
about law enforcement, and sometimes, I guess they feel like they have to take the law, as far as protection goes, into their own hand. And then the state senator mentioned, going to the House and talking about laws and bills, which is all fine, but are those laws going to be enforced? Like you say, he doesn't have to make a new law. There's probably laws on the books that those police could have arrested those men for.
That's the key word. It's probably, dog.
Said disorderly conduct.
Maybe
coming to a black neighborhood, waving those type of signs is definitely not orderly.
Well, it doesn't just because something's not orderly doesn't define it as disorderly conduct under the confines of the law. See, that's the problem. You're in too much of a gray area here,
inciting violence or inciting a riot. Right?
Are they?
That could have been considered a riot, but those guys incited.
How do they incite a riot?
Just
I don't
like
understand.
Going into a crowd.
There's obviously some legal reasons why things happen the way that they did, that this person doesn't like, and now he's just kind of saying maybe this, maybe that. Don't get me wrong, neo-Nazis are trash, but if they're not doing anything illegal, what can the police do under the law? They don't get to pick and choose. They follow the laws, dude.
Putting and yelling fire.
Stupid.
And
it's true. It's how it works.
They in the article said, well, they're continuing to review the footage, so you can actually charge them and then bring it to the DA's office. So I don't know if that's once again one of those political ploys or, bait and switches that the police are doing. But I don't think it's far fetched to find some type of criminal activity to charge those guys with. And I think I've read one or seen somewhere where a couple of the men out there have been identified, and and even people feel like those people who did that no doubt had to be cops. They were all fit, they were all in shape and things like that. And once again, I don't have
this guy's
any confirmation or denial of that. But what I do see,
they should just pick and choose
that's what I want.
parts of
I
his
received
conversation
a lot of calls about this incident,
like they do with everybody else.
From a military guy actually, and he wants me to alert the people to kind of be careful with that, because he said that's from military standpoint, that's what they call a probe. What they did, and it's very strategic that they would come out to, once again, a very proud all black oldest village, African-American village in America. He said that what they call that is a probe, where, they send people out to draw people out, and then they'll send a loop behind them. Now, maybe the brothers and sisters know that. That's why they're continuously armed.
Brother.
I'm not sure, but, I'm pretty sure they have a lot of people who served in the military.
I think they're just mad that the police didn't do anything to these people who are protesting, these neo-Nazis.
You see what
So
he's saying? Well,
now they're
those are the bad guys. Now
doing
the black people
what
who
they
are
legally can
armed in
do in
response to
their
that.
own
He's
form of
trying to make
protest,
it, old Mr.
make themselves feel
Episcopal there,
safer. I
trying
like
to
it.
make it seem that they are the problem when they are responding to the problem. So, you know, that's one aspect I look at where, you don't want to, become a target unknowingly. Next thing you know, well, the people of Lincoln Heights are on a militia list. Oh, those guys are militia now that we have to come and wipe them out.
Okay.
So that's, once again, that's how they try to play it. So once again, I shout out to my brothers and sisters out there for standing on what they believe in, standing on, the
Thanks for the
not even the
follow, the
constitutional right, the
grade.
human right, the God-given right, to protect your soil and your property by any means necessary. And so
I think it's funny how he's all like for doing what they believe in and being out there and showing that they believe in things. Whenever that's kind of what the neo-Nazis were doing too. They were just out there believing nonsense garbage and going out there and protesting.
So,
no different. It's just
once again,
a
we're
different perspective
eye on
than what
these
you have.
developments, but I had to share
Even though
this
I
story
agree that
because
it's a stupid
it looks
perspective.
like to me the people are still,
but is it illegal?
Standing on what they believe in and making sure
Should it
that
be illegal?
nobody else comes around there like that. And if they do come around there, they're going to be met with the same show of force, like they kept calling a demonstration. Nah, that was kind of a invasion, a show of force to those black people who were just minding their business. And so y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Once again, 919-587-7782. Peace and blessings. Y'all have a blessed day.
Yes. So the real question is, guys, do you believe that it's okay to have a terrible opinion and be a neo-Nazi supporter, but still be able to peacefully protest? Do you feel like the cops should have to do something about that? What is the morality of that matter? And do the cops ever have an option at all to do anything in the first place? If you know a little bit more about that situation and what went down there, please let me know in the comments what you think about that. But at the end of the day, your hands are tied as a law enforcement officer to enforce the law. You don't get to make subjective things about it. You don't have to agree with what other people say. And that's kind of like the benefit of being an American citizen, is you can have a really terrible opinion and then go out and protest about it. Isn't that great, right? So what do you think about that?